Oh shit, I was muted. You guys can hear me? I guess you guys should hear me now. My sound should be on. Testing, testing. Well, for one, we don't use the N word, so we're not gonna use that. I'm in New Jersey. Anyway, so let me get started. Oh, All right, let me get. No, he don't. Jesus Christ don't love me, and he didn't die for me. Jesus was a sacrifice by the Romans for control. All right, let me get to it. Now, I was trying to look up something, and it took me a minute, but anyway. So my conversation really is that a lot of women use the Bible as a way to uh, cope with being single, or saying they don't need a man, or basically try to look for something more greater than Jesus or great as Jesus. We're just basic human beings. We're just basic people to survive. We need each other to survive. We need each other to live. You know, there's nothing greater than what's in front of you. But meaning that there's nothing greater than the human beings that are here in the planet. But the delusional part of it is that a lot of women think that they want to have everything perfect, everything have to be the way Jesus is supposed to be, I guess, in their assumption. Now, I want to start from Genesis, because we talking about Christian women, okay? And I guess for some of the men who feel that, because the Bible says you got to follow His words, and you shouldn't change His words. That's what the book says. So when people say they want to do what they want to do, different from what the Bible say, I already done not taking them seriously, because you're already debunking the Bible right there. You can't say you believe in the Christianity, whether you're a Muslim or in the biblical Christianity, Muslim or Christianity. You're already debunking the Bible by saying that you're picking and choosing what you want to go with. Now, we already know this is a different era, a different times, but the adaptation still apply. Yeah, you don't have to stone anybody or, you do the whole Virgin Mary situation. Like, there's things that they did back then that we can't do today. But it still applies that son rules do apply. Like some things are outdated, but some rules still do apply. Um, so I want to start off with. I'm going to start off with why I said women that don't take the Bible seriously. Okay, so we're gonna go with, I think it's Genesis. This is Genesis 2, the creation of man and woman, right? So, as we already know, we know God created man already. So we're not gonna. Well, let me just say it. Um, so in Genesis 2, chapter Genesis 2, verse 6, God, but there went upon a mist from the earth and water the whole face of the ground, meaning that God is floating over the, our landmass, or in the garden, as he say, and in the on looking on upon the ground, he see a mist, like within the mist, but on the ground, there's a puddle of water, and in the puddle of water, he saw an image, right? He saw a face, which is, I'm saying, the reflection of himself or itself. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, right? So he's looking at a puddle of water, and he saw image of whatever he's seen, because I'm assuming he's looking at the, God is looking at itself. So whatever the image is in the water, that's what he created from the dirt, from the clay. So man is made from clay, dirt, right? Now I'm coming to the point where I say women don't take this seriously. And then he put breath of air into the clay and made him, he gave him life, right? He put the soul into him. All right. So now that's how God created man. That's just the man in the image of himself, right? Whatever God looked like, that's what man looked like. Now we're gonna go to where it say God created woman. This is Genesis 2. We're gonna be Genesis 2, verse 7. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. So God made, now a lot of people are going to say, God made Adam, man and woman, because in Genesis 1, he made man and woman, Um, yeah, he did make man and woman, but how did he make man and woman? So to me, Genesis 2 kind of give a more deeper meaning. It does seem like it's two different stories. Some people say it's two different stories, but to me, it's just like a synopsis, I guess. And the second Genesis goes into the story. You know what I mean? Now, the reason why the topic is women, women don't take the Bible seriously, in terms of relationship reasons, is because, over time and life has changes, women seem to put themselves in the same category as a man. Like, we know we're different, but we still feel like we have the same abilities or the same acceptance of, sides. And it's not. It's different. It's actually different. The Bible itself lets you know it's different. He made man first, right? Then he put man to sleep, and then he made woman. Right? I'm not making this up. I'm just basically quoting what the book says. Unless y'all don't agree with the book, then if you don't agree with the book, then you're not a real Christian. Don't say you're a Christian. This is not for people who don't believe in the book. This is for people who believe in the book, mostly women, right? For women who say they do follow this book and they believe in the Bible, or they believe in a God that resembles, come from the Bible, because you can't say you believe in the God of the Bible, but then you don't follow the Bible. It doesn't make sense. Now, it doesn't say you have to do everything in the Bible because, times have passed, right? There's certain things you just don't do anymore, but you still have to live into some guidelines or some fine lines of the Bible, right? All right, so after he made the woman from his rib, now if somebody take a part of your body and made or genetically, create another you or something that comes from you, the original automatically have, I would say, leadership or superiority over the part that was created from them. That's the way it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just natural. It's like, okay, for example, it's like you have kids. You're female, have kids. You have to raise your kids, right? But do your kids have domination over you? Do your kids have more rulership over you? No. We get that part, but what's your name? Pain, Dwallard, I think that's how you pronounce your name. But anyway, I agree with you, but the conversation is whether we feel like the Bible is man-made or not, people follow this book and they believe in it. And my point is, if you're going to quote certain things out of the Bible or use the Bible as a defense to justify your behavior, you have to follow what the book says. You know what I'm saying? You can't use it as an excuse to do what you want to do. Naturally, men create laws and we protect ourselves from ourselves, naturally. So that's the reason why I'm basically posting this. And the thing is, whether it's male or female, what's up? Yeah, so whether it's a male or female, they have to honor the belief. You know what I'm saying? So the issue is this: you can't. The disruption of the society is the fact that we are too divided by what we feel is right or what we don't feel is right. There have to be one structure. If you can believe or think what you want to think, but there's a standard to your structure. So if you was to do something wrong, you will know that you're basically stepping out of the fine line of that structure. Nobody have to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? You would have to know that. But we don't maintain a structure anymore. We just kind of like let anybody do what they want, and then when it doesn't work, they blame the forefathers or the people that was set before them to set that structure because they was like, oh, you was here before, you should have known better. Yeah, but when we try to tell you that that's not gonna work, you didn't want to hear that. You know what I mean? So now you gotta deal with the consequence of the situation. And the same thing is the same thing for the relationship values. Like, we have to understand that there's a design for us to live by, and we have to follow those designs if you want it to work properly. Now nobody's saying designs ain't boring. Yes, they are boring, but it works. Nobody say you can't have fun. Nobody say you can't be creative. You can do all these things, but it's just it have to work. Like and like if you look at the animals, they don't stray away generally from their natural behavior. They stay within their natural behavior, and they function well, and they survive long, and they live long. But for us, yeah, we can adapt and manipulate, develop, shape, destroy, all these different things. But it's also come with a disciplinary as well. As the instinctual behavior goes, who can't hear gonna feel. So if you learn that something is bad for you or something is not gonna work a certain way, why keep doing the bad thing? You know what I mean? If we look at the societies today, especially in terms of relationship perspective, we see the negativity of the rejection for what naturally is supposed to be done in terms of commitment, bonding, pair bonding with your the mate you're supposed to be with. Nobody say you don't have bad relationships, but your relationship shouldn't be more. No, it shouldn't be more than three. You tell me how many if that's the case, then you're not choosing well. So you should have somebody to help you make a decision of the final people you should be associated with. Or some people just have addiction for certain things, right? But anyway, what I was saying, what is to my point is this. What is to my point is this. When it comes to relationship and the Bible, you know, we can't keep using, oh well, God is my man or my husband, or there's nobody more perfect than him. God is not the one sleeping with you. He's the one not giving you children. And then the thing is, some of these women already have children, but then you're gonna make that statement. What? So who the hell got you pregnant? You know what I'm saying? Like, who got you pregnant? Jesus didn't come down here and hit you, and he didn't come down here and did that situation, right? So you gotta be able to adapt and respect the nature of things and just accept it. Just as men have to accept the things that they have to deal with, the consequences, the logical entailment to a lot of things that we just can't change. You just gotta accept it. So what I'm saying is this: when you're reading the Bible, man, when you're talking to females and they highlight the Bible as their defense mechanism, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fall in line. You know what I'm saying? Because your behavior, your action doesn't line up with what the Bible says. Because the Bible doesn't tell you don't respect men. The Bible doesn't tell you men are not your covering, men are not your leaders, right? Your superior, right? It doesn't mean in a negative way, because naturally, men take care of women. Ah, shit. No, you don't have to. You don't have to get married, because naturally, once you seek naturally, I'm speaking naturally now. This has nothing to do with the Bible or anybody telling you what to do. It's just a natural thing. Naturally, if you find a female, you seek out this female, and you're in this female bond, right? The emotion between you and this female is becoming a tight, becoming what they call a soul bond, right? Now, once you're in this person, that they had to talk about the butterflies and all that stuff, you start to feel this connection with this person, right? But once you pass the sex, you get to the sexual part of it, that's the bonding. That's where the official bond starts. Now, if the female is a virgin and you bond with the female, that's more of what they call peer bonding. So the female will more peer bond with you, which means she become part of you. She become attached to you. Some people say they'd be too clingy. They always gonna be, they're just that's just how women operate. That's the nature of their behavior. And for the male, of course we're different. We're not the same. So not saying men don't get, you know, what should say? What's the word? Attach due to the sexual activity. Not to say men don't get attached to the feeling of that, but men don't, we're different from females. We don't peer bond to females, we get attached to females. The females peer bond, meaning that they become part of you, they become you in a sense, right? Like puppies peer bond with dog peer bond with their puppies. They have to, if the mother doesn't peer bond with the puppies, this is some animals, they reject that animal. They don't think it's theirs. Like if somebody else take that puppy on or the animal on, when the parent comes along, the puppy think the person is their mother versus the actual mother. You know what I'm saying? So that's the same. It's the same thing for human beings. We have peer bonding behaviors, just the same as many other animals in the world. So no, you don't have to. You don't have to legally marry, by law or paperwork, as you just say, to say you have a wife. If you and that person have to come to that conclusion once y'all start, being with each other. And then that's how, and then even if you have a child, and then once you have a child, that's more even, I would say, a sacred bond because you just created a bloodline between you and that female, and that justify that this is your wife automatically. Now, in the Bible, it doesn't talks about marriage in like ceremonies or anything like that. But we're talking about Genesis specifically, the first 5 books. They don't really have any ceremonies for marriage generally. It's just, like I said, if you sleep with this person, female, and you have children by this female, it's automatically that this female is your wife. She belongs to you, you belongs to her type situation. So the Bible, later on, when it came to the New Testament, that's when they start talking about, ceremonies and all the matter of fact, it didn't even started to like right away. It's like I don't remember the chapters, but like later on down the chapters, they start talking about ceremonies and then they start practicing it. But it was more of like you find a female, you and she get bonded together, and it is what it is. Now there's also what they call what the thing is, I forgot the name, I forgot the word I'm trying to use, where you can set up a marriage, you know what I'm saying, where two families can come together, and you have to pay like a diary or whatever the case is, but those things are based on like hierarchy type situations, to keep wealth in the family, stuff like that. But some of the cases are forced. Is forced. Some of them, and I say forced meaning that the female might not have a choice. That's what I mean. In some of the cases, it's not forced. It's kind of an understanding between the mother and between the parents, and the daughter is basically aware of the situation, and she'll probably have to make a choice of the decision, of the guy she picks. You know what I mean? I hope that answers your question, Derek. I kind of went on a little too much about it. But yeah, so that's, like I said, you don't have to, legally married to have a relationship. Even still to this day, you don't have to legally married. You can do it. Some people do it inside of a church. Some people do it outside of a church. You know, and just have legal binding papers by a lawyer, or you know, some kind of like contract between you and the female, or a will. You could just do a will between you and the female. It doesn't have to be legal papers, but um, I'm not against like legal marriages. I'm just against the double standards of legal marriages. The double standard is not in favor for men; is in favor for men to be taken advantage of. Because, and the reason why is this, and there's some people gonna say, well, oh well, it depends if the money make. It doesn't really matter most cases, because you have a lot of women who might make more money than the husband, and even in some cases, if the if okay, for example, if the woman making more money than the husband, and he's still the one paying most of the bills, right? That's just, I'm just saying, if he's still doing that, right? She would still get the benefit of the situation, because the judge looking at the person who's paying the bills. They're not looking at the person who's generally making more money. They're looking at the person who's paying the bills and making more money, or the one who's just paying the bills and maintaining situations. So they have cases. They have a lot of cases like that, where the husband, even though the husband is making less money than the wife, but he's still paying most of the bills. While the wife just having her money. The whole concept of happy wife, happy home type situation. So she could be making more money, but the husband don't ask her for anything, or she do very minimum, but she still makes more money. The judge is gonna still go to him and make him pay for alimony, or give up half of his stuff to her, even though she makes more money than him. So that's why I said, like, I'm not against it, but I just don't think it's a fair deal when it comes to marriage today. All right, so let's go back to my point. So when go back to my point of speaking to women choosing God over men, when it's not legitimate, because you can't use God as your savior to avoid relationships, when God already told you come from man. So you're basically rejecting your creator. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand, it's a level to it, right? You can't skip the man, right, and then go to God. Just like how you can't skip Jesus, right, to go to God. And here's the thing, to get to Jesus, you got to go to the prophets, because the prophets lead you to Jesus, right? And then Jesus leads you to God. It's like a level to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same concept for relationships. You can't skip man and then just go to God. You know what I'm saying? No. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't just skip. But anyway, so in order for us for women to be able to come on point, or to be more, I would say, if we could look at things more logically, because outside the Bible there's a world, you know what I'm saying, for nature, for us to, but outside the Bible, it was us. There was no book before us. It was us, because we wrote the book. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get people to understand that, you could still have the book as some kind of like historical event, or some kind of historical, timeline to map out what happened, and kind of give you some knowledge of how you, because remember, you got to know your history to know your future, meaning that you got to know your wrongs from your right. So to move forward in life, you got to learn by your mistakes, basically. You can't just assume you're gonna know what's right if you never experienced it. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is we've been doing this repeated thing of, uh, you know, I don't need a man, this, then third. But the society, the thing about this is the society have pushed us in such a shambles that women think that there's these fantasy type of people out there. You know, it's almost like a, you know, like a. I'm not saying that women are children, but they have like a childlike mind where it's like, I see candy and I want candy, and I ain't gonna stop until I get this candy. You know, they see a nice little necklace, they can't afford it, they don't need it, it doesn't do anything for them, but she gonna strive for this no matter what, even if it causes, you know, for her to starve, or she might have to like use other people to get it. You know, that's, you know, that's not what it is. You know, people, we're not focusing on surviving towards life, we're focusing on selfish, selfish behaviors. You know what I'm saying? We strive for things that don't benefit us, basically. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So sometimes, like I said, everything we do as humans is not supposed to be entertaining and fun. Some things you just gotta sit back and relax, just chill. I might check it out. I might check it out. I might check it out. I do, you know, I don't really watch it that much, but I kind of like go to the highlights, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, man, dealing with the Bible and stuff, you know, I think people need to stop using this as an excuse to justify their behavior, or singularize themselves, because behind that they don't really want to do that, because they tell you that, but then they'll go do it. Then for the next person that they like, they don't have that same agenda or that same feeling or response. You know what I'm saying? That they treat them different, or they act different, or you know, they go deeper. They matter of fact, they're gonna basically break all their rules. You know what I'm saying? Of everything that they taught you or told you. Yeah, I don't even know who these dudes. I mean, I probably do know who they is, but I'm not good with names, so I'll have to look their names up and see. Um, I'll check it out though. You know, now that you mention it to me, because I didn't even know about this fight, but I'll check it out. But yeah, so yeah, man. So women, you know, women need to learn to not do that. I'm not saying some men are not delusional as well. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So, you know, we need to stop using the Bible as an escape to justify our bad behaviors. And for Christian people who really follow this book, they need to stand on that. They need to hold these people accountable. You know, and be like, listen, you can't be saying things like that. You can't be using the Bible to escape. If you want to go out there and do what you want to do, then go do it. Don't use the Bible to do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't use it, because you're basically making the book doesn't look serious. It's just like the N word, basically. You know, if the N word want to have some value to it, we have to stop abusing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't go around calling people, you know, the C word, right? You don't even hear white people call themselves or constantly say, "Hey, my C, my C." You don't hear them do that. You know what I mean? So we shouldn't be out there doing it either. Matter of fact, I think it'll be more effective if we don't really use it that much, and we'll have more, how would you say, judgment for when somebody used the N word. Cause it'll be way more effective. You know what I'm saying? You probably be like a national threat just to say the thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing for the book. I kind of look at the book the same way. Like, when it comes, because really for man and woman, our relationships are disappearing. It's this the way how we're living today is like it's like war. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like it's never gonna fix. It looks like it's never gonna fix. At this point, I don't. I mean, I want to say it could be fixed, but I don't know. I'm seeing the future, man. It looks like it's gonna be worse, and males is gonna turn to androids. China already have these android dolls, that can physically move around. They just got to put them in a female body, or like female shaped body or whatever. And yeah, a matter of fact, they're already doing that. To be honest, they already have a little study and documentary of some of these Asian guys having a standard AI female walking around doing things. And the only difference is why a lot of dudes don't have them things is because they're very costly. But imagine them things was to be a little cheaper. Here's another reason too. Here's another reason. Women have all the toys you can think of. Every different. They got super big, super small. They got toys that look like a hand. Like who the heck? Like a hand, a whole fist. You know what I'm saying? They got dragons, they got dogs, they got octopus. You know what I'm saying? Like females have all kind of things you can think of. Right? They even got they even turn a flower into a toy. You know what I'm saying? But males, all things are very limited. You know what I'm saying? It's very limited. So what I'm saying is, and not only that they're limited, they're costly too. My bud. I don't know why people are saying bad stuff. Undurate. Who? Who is that? Who's that? I don't know who that is. But anyway, yeah, man. So like relationship wise, we need to stop because, like I said, the Bible specifically told you. And here's the thing: after uh, he created man, and then he took the rib from the man, and then he made woman. He let women to know that Adam is her leader. Like he's you're supposed to honor him. You're supposed to you know listen to him, follow his directions. You know what I'm saying? And Adam, and once that he took him from Tate. I mean, Tate doing his thing. He's okay. I mean, what's your point about him though? I don't know what you. I mean, he's another dude. And so Adam, so once he took him from his rib, he took woman from his rib. You know, and then he took it from, and then God brought her to unto men, and Adam said, "This is now bone of my bone," meaning that she came from me. She's part of me. You know what I'm saying? And flesh of my flesh shall be called woman. So Adam gave her the name. Adam gave her the name woman. Views. Uh, I mean, I think he's a cool dude. I have nothing. I'm not, like anybody in the world. You don't, you're not gonna agree with everything everybody say. But like I said, I'm a naturalist, so he's been a natural man. Like I can't really go against somebody who's living a natural way of his development. Man is supposed to. Men are generally, you know, how I should say, forefront about themselves. You know, they have some aggression to them. They're very masculated. All men. Well, I would say most men. If you go back in the day, prior to the men today, I'm not talking. But most men from going from like the like 90s, 80s. You know what I'm saying? Men are very like rugged. We're very like direct. We understand who we are. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of men today is a little different. They was raised different, and a lot of it comes from not being raised with the males around them and stuff like that. Because I mean, I was kind of like that too. So I had to find myself of being a man at some point. You know what I mean? Like I have to realize like, uh, there's this manly, like what I mean. You kind of have to mimic like a lot of things and realize like what feel natural to you and what don't feel natural to you. And to be honest with you, how I get to really understand the definition of a man, like the nature of a man versus a woman, I pay attention to a lot of the old. Well, let me not use the word old because they're not old. I pay attention to a lot of the tribal people, like tribal people who like don't mix in with society. People who live like in the Amazons, or we call them nomads and shit like that. Those when you study those people, those tribes, in places that don't mix in with the society and stuff like that, because those people have more of like a rooted natural self. You know what I'm saying? And the men, you don't see the men acting like the men today. They're more free with themselves, you know what I'm saying? But they don't act like the men today. Yeah, they don't shape like the men today. So, religion, nah, I'm not into no religion. Religion is a man-made concept. Like I said, we was here before religion. Like I said, we have to pay attention to the development of religion. And this, I could, I don't want to go into a whole nother topic about this thing because I'm more focused on like the Bible story or whatever, because that you kind of relate to the conversation I'm having, so that's why I kind of responded to it. But no, I'm not into religion. Um, Man-made religion. We can clearly see that we made religion. Uh, there's a lot of questions I have prior to the creation of religion. You know, and let me just say this one thing about religion real quick. People need to really pay attention to something. Religion was created one specific, like place. Like when I say religion, I'm talking like the Bible religion, right? I'm not talking about you know people having their own spiritual guidance and stuff like that. Because every tribe had their own spiritual understanding in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like matter of fact, you could have go 1 hour from one location, and like that tribe would have a different understanding of what the other tribe have our way. So the Christian religion and the Muslim religion, those things was pushed onto people. I never heard no other religion in the world or seen any other religion was forced upon other people other than like these two Pacific religions. None. I've not seen it or heard of it. I'm not saying there wasn't some influence in others, but there was not like going around forcing people to become Christian. They're still doing it to this day. Like as you can see with the Muslims, some Christian sects or whatever. If you're not a Christian, we don't want to talk. If you're not a Christian, we can't do this, we can't do that. You know what I'm saying? We can't be together, we can't be in a relationship. So yeah, I don't. To me, it's man-made. It doesn't make sense. And the only reason why I'm using it as a teaching method is because, if you're gonna use it to define yourself, then you have to stand by it, and then I have to respect that because you stand by it. You know what I mean? Which means if women believe in Christianity and that's their relationship that they want to go with, they have to act by it. They have to know that men are superior to them, right? Men are the leaders because the man you come from the man's rib, and the man gave you the position that you're in, right? Because he says it in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And then thereafter, it said, um, man should cleave to man should cleave to his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, as well as because they're one flesh. So basically, he's saying between the woman and the man, they should be as one, as if there's are children to their fathers or mothers, and that's how women should desire men, have honor men, or worship men. And that's the pair bonding is what I'm talking about. That becomes a pair bond. She become part of him, and they become one flesh, one body, right? But today, women don't view that type of concept. You know what I'm saying? They don't view that concept. I'm in the U.S. Yeah, I mean Christianity is man-made. You know what I mean? So I'm just using it. Like I said, I'm just using it because that's the standard that the world seems to be going by. And for just let's be clear about this, right? The only reason why Christianity, the most religion specifically, is the standard or became the standard is because ever since they started promoting it prior from Jesus era, before Christ type situation. Well, matter of fact, since the Romans got a hand of it, let me put it like that, and it got spread into the Vaticans and all these different people, and then the Quran came to play. They've been pushing this book to the whole world. They've been forcing people that they're the one been passing it down to everybody. You know what I'm saying? They didn't let people organically learn it or become it. They've been passing it down, forcing it down people's throat. Like, hey, you got to do this. If you don't do this, you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Um, Prior to that, there was no, nobody had to force you to do anything. All right, so and like I said, my highlight to this is just basically saying that women need to understand the purpose, or based on the religious concept, that they was meant to be next to their man. Now, it doesn't say the man can't have multiple women now. We need to check that. Okay? Men can have multiple women. They was made to do so. Right? Um, in nature, before the Bible, it was a natural thing. It doesn't mean every man gonna have multiple women. It doesn't mean that, but it's just the option that is there. You know what I'm saying? the world have, like I said, they use the Bible. I would say women use the Bible to cope as if like men supposed to functionally just be with one woman. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? That's just, like I said, all of that is just man made up stuff to control, how men move, or because the jealousies probably was like some men would probably have more women than the others. So here's the thing: it's not a bad thing, because guess why? Women still to this day, because women have freedom now. Well, as we use the word freedom, right? Women to this day in the feminist group or whatever got more freedom to do what they want, right? Do they go out and marry the men that is good for them, or do they find a man that benefit for them and grow with that man and make a good civil life? No. What they do, they go for the same men. You know what I'm saying? If he don't look this way, he don't act this way, he don't talk this way, he don't smell this way, he ain't tall like this, he don't have a big John, he don't have a certain type of job, blah 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 blah. They all go for the same guys generally. And then the dudes who's probably good for her, like 100%, get left behind. You see what I'm saying? So polygamy is necessary. You know what I'm saying? It's necessary, because unless you were gonna have to do like like in the Middle East, or do like India and some of these places where we have to force women to choose a certain type of guy. You know what I'm saying? But we're not like that. We don't want to force them. You know what I'm saying? We want to give them free will. We don't want to control the females, right? So they have free will to choose the men they want to be with based on the man courting her. But at the same time, the way how society is moving, that's not what's happening. They're not picking the guy that's next door. They're not picking the guy that's next to her. She's picking the guy that every woman want. You know what I'm saying? And then she get mad when the guy have other women or other options. How much I benching on what? What are you talking about? Oh, on the gym. Man, I haven't. It's been a while, bro. I do have some weight on me too, so I ain't gonna even front about that. Um, I'm not. I could have did about 250 at one time. Maybe 275, but now I've, you know, um, I lost a lot of my strength and stuff like that. So I'll probably do like maybe 150, you know, or 100. I don't really try to be big anymore anyway. I just focus on just being healthy and try to stay lean, try to be strong. But I could live more than what I'm saying, but I'm just kind of limiting myself to that. Yeah, I'm just limiting myself to that, but I could do more than that though. I could probably still do 250, no problem. Probably 5 reps, back to back. Take a break, go again. Maybe 10 straight, probably. I'll say about, I could probably do 5 back to back. Yeah. Yeah. Continuing, so after, Eve ate the fruit and she did what she did, what I'm saying? God even got a little bit more precise of what her position is to Adam and what Adam's position is to her, you know. And he said, Eve should cling onto Adam, because he's, well, let me see, the punishment. There we go. Because, God, so God, once Eve made it, ate the fruit and all that good stuff, he gave her punishment, and he said, due to her, having babies and everything, she should greatly multiply by her sorrows into conception, and shall bring forth children, and desire shall be to thy husband, and he. This is not my words. This is the Bible's words. The woman should have desire. The woman shall desire her husband, and he, quotation, he shall rule over her. That's what the Bible says. Yes, that's about Adam and Eve. Yes. I'm using, because that's the beginning of the book. So basically, what I do, I want to basically break, like preachers going into church and they do their little sermons and stuff. I'm actually trying to break down Genesis. Like I'm kind of like offbeat a little bit, but I did break down the creation section already in terms of like him creating heaven and earth and all that crazy stuff. But I took a break, and I have got some new information and stuff. I want to do actually I really want to do screen sharing and stuff like that, but I got to set up some things to do the screen sharing. So I'm basically using my phone right now, and when I'm screen sharing off my phone, it doesn't really look or app. It's limited to some things that I want to have access to. Yeah, that I want to have access to. So I'll just talk about it for now, and then maybe later on, once I have the resources I need, I can actually show and represent what I'm talking about. Because the reason why but basically what I'm saying is I want to compare the Bible to nature or science, if you want to say that, side by side. So where we could talk about the development, the evolution, the Big Bang, all of that good stuff. But right now, I'm just kind of like just basically highlighting some things that people complain about or people talk about, and relationships, and the concept that women are always using the Bible to highlight their behavior, but yet don't take it seriously or act upon the Bible in the rules and regulations that is supposed to be versus how they really living in life. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, I'm trying my best, man. I need to be online a lot more, to be honest with you. I don't really be on here that much. It's just something I'm doing on the side. You know what I mean? I need to be on here a lot more, trying to communicate with people because the way how I'm doing it, I don't think I'm not saying people probably I haven't really come across anybody who kind of like have the idea that I have, but they probably do, but I haven't seen them. But yeah, I just want to because I want people to show it. I want to show it and compare it so they can see the difference. You know what I'm saying? So like me talking right now, I'm telling you and saying things, you might be like, yeah, yeah, but the Bible, this, da, 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 with this, that. Some people say it ain't really real. Yeah, yeah. Some people say it's real, it's not real. But see something like the effectiveness of people to understand things is to see it while you're talking about it. Like they say hands-on type stuff. Some people are hands-on, some people are not. Yeah, so I'm almost finishing up, Dub. I just want to come to the point where he was talking about, because the key word, like I said, the key word here is that she should give rulership over women, and a lot of women push back on that word rulership. Superiority, same meaning. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that he don't respect her. It doesn't mean that he don't care about her. It doesn't mean that he don't take care of her, make sure she's in good hands. Um, it's after 5 right now. It's 5:14. Yeah, where you from? You asking a lot of questions. Where you from? Derek, where you from? What country? I think you're in the U.S. But yeah, so like I said, in the Bible, the book itself says men have rulership over the woman. So I don't see why women push back a lot about this rulership. Oh, you're in the UK. Okay, that's what's up, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Probably do have family in the UK. I just never met them. Cause my country is a British. Well, it was a British country. I still have ties to the British, of course. I still have ties to the British, of course. But I probably do have people in the British. I just never been there. I mean, I used to date a girl from. I did maybe like two girls from Britain. You know, well, from when I said Britain, I'm talking about the British, not like you know. I don't know exactly. I don't remember where they was, what location or whatever, but I know they were from in the British area. Right. So yeah, I mean, after God even banished them from the garden, He also let them know that, He even emphasized on letting them know like man have rulership over the woman, because He said like, the man gonna have to work hard and stuff like that. The woman, He also said the woman gonna just basically, yeah. So He also basically said once they move out the garden and everything, the man is gonna suffer here and there about certain things, but right. So Right. So yeah, even after before he kicked them out the garden, he let them know like, you guys gonna have some hard times. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, your wife is gonna be stuck to you. Y'all gonna become one. You know what I'm saying? And y'all gonna have to. She gonna have if she wanna live, she gonna have to obey you. So I don't see why today. No, here's the reason why the Bible take naturalistic. Like I said, I pay attention to the people who was here prior to the religion concept, because there's a lot of tribes out here haven't been into any religious concept, and they're surviving still to this day without religious concepts. You know what I'm saying? They have their own spiritual understanding of guidance, but the spiritual understanding of guidance is not superior to themselves surviving and living. Those are just external things that they can use for inspiration and motivation. You know what I'm saying? I'm the same as you, bro. What you mean? I mean, I don't. If you're gonna go with, I don't like to use the color concept because that's not. I'm a human being, bro. Let me just put it like that. I'm a human being. This whole land, planet Earth, is mine. You know what I'm saying? And when I say mines, I don't mean in figuratively. I mean mines as it's human. It belongs to humans. We here to dominate the earth because we're the smartest animals on it or the smartest creatures on it. Me use the word creatures because that's a better word to use. We are the smartest creatures on this planet. You know what I'm saying? So, um, ethnicity wise, I'm a human being. I mean, there's different kinds of humans. You know what I'm saying? But I don't try to indulge into this whole, I'm this and you that, and I I think I think people should be able to, not, I wouldn't say freely, but we should have the hmm, we should have the freedom. Let me use that. But when I say freely, I don't mean like we shouldn't pay for to go where you gotta go, but it shouldn't be restrictions of where you want to go. Like if I want to go to China or wherever, I have to get some kind of like visa and all this stupid shit. Like, nah, I should just buy my plane ticket and go there. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I should just go. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to go to UK, if I want to come to the UK, oh, I gotta get this visa and I gotta go do this and I gotta go do that and I gotta say how long I wanna stay. I mean, okay, the staying, okay, there should be some limitation because you don't want any and anybody coming to certain, because you might have certain territory, like for example, like I mentioned, there's certain tribes and stuff that's out here that's still striving today. You don't want random people coming into your tribe and just causing a havoc, right? They could visit, they could, entertain and stuff, but if they want to live among your society, they have to be able to be respectful and learn to adapt or whatever the case is. I have nothing against that. My problem is that there's like these restrictions of like your visas and you're not part of this country and all this stupid shit. Like we all human beings, man. At the end of the day, back in the day, like I said, there was no such thing as a visa. There was no such thing as like where you can go, where you can't go. You travel. All you had to do is travel from one place to the next. That's it. You know what I'm saying? You can stay there for a couple of days, stay there if you want to. You just pay your way or your work or do what you got to do to survive. I understand today in these times, territorial things is a big deal. So I'm not against that part of the territorial situation. But, I'm just not with the whole, the land belongs to this person and that person. It's like, okay, for example, biblically, um, landmass was named after these characters, right? So Abraham, was like, no, Abraham came, no, let me use the actual names. Ham was Hamites, they had the land named Ham, right? And then you had Shem and Canaan and all these different people, right? But the land was the name of the land was just basically an identification of a place. You know what I'm saying? It's just to like name a place. But it wasn't like a restriction for people to come and visit or even live and, stay. You know what I'm saying? Or come and live and stay. You know what I'm saying? So today that have changed so much that it's almost like you're not. It's almost like you're some alien. Like like he's. If I come to British right now, it's like I'm an alien. I'm no longer like I'm not a human being to come there. You know what I'm saying? I have to have some kind of like entry, some shit. You know what I'm saying, to show that I can come there, or to identify that I'm a human being to be there. Nah, man, like I have family there. I'm like I said, I don't know them. You know, I got family on my great grandmother's side, because not to mention I have white family. I'm be honest with you. Right? My great grandma, you know, no, my grandmother, sorry, my grandmother from my great grandma came from a white guy. You know what I'm saying? So my grandma have a white father. You know what I mean? So I have a white grandfather. You know what I'm saying? And I pretty much, and he had kids too. So I have bloodline in the British. You know what I'm saying? Um, but there's limitations for me to come to the British. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to get a passport, I have to register for this, then I have to get a visa, then I have to, then you gotta take like I mean, I'm not against the whole vaccines and stuff, because some locations have certain types of insects and stuff like that, and we already learned that certain places, say you live, in America, and you want to go to China or Africa or wherever, they have different type of bugs and stuff over there that they adapted to, so the people can survive, and they're not gonna get sick. You know what I mean? But for you to go there, the terrain and all this extra stuff could get you sick. You could get sick. You know what I mean? So you might have to take certain shots or whatever the case is. But yeah, um, you know, that's how I feel about that. But anyway, I kind of did my Derek, man. I don't know if you're still there now, but I appreciate you, standing by me. You know what I mean? It feels good talking to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Versus talking to myself. Actually, the video probably would have ended a lot quicker if I wasn't talking to somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming on and spending time with me. I'm going to try this again. Uh, you might catch me tomorrow, probably around the same time, maybe, and then we could do what we do. All right, I appreciate you guys for standing with me. Your likes, your time viewing my yeah. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I hope this little dialogue makes sense to a lot of you guys. Like I said, I'm not trying to force nobody or convert nobody. I just want people to understand and make sense of what they're reading, because we are human beings. Um, Man, I'm be honest with you, my time are not scheduled. I need to schedule my time. Sometimes I come on like early in the morning, and sometimes I come on in the afternoon. But right now seem like a normal time, so I might try to maintain this time. Uh, it might change a little bit though, so I can't make no promises right now. But tomorrow I'll come on around this. I would say 4:30. I think that's when I started. Let me see, it's about 2 hours now. So I would say about 4 o'clock, about 4 p.m. tomorrow. I'll come on again. You could jump in at that time. Tomorrow, what I'm gonna do is, like I said, I'm trying to break. Sometimes I do reaction too. I do like reaction videos and stuff. Sometimes, but I might go. I'm gonna go to the next chapter in Genesis. I might go to like I said, I read the book and then I just break it down, and I just go from there. So since I already went through Genesis 1 to Genesis 3, you know, I probably go through 4 and 5. So anyway, with that said, I want to keep talking. I'll make it more a whole nother dialogue. So with that said, man, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for spending some time with me. You know what I'm saying? All right, peace, man.